Hi everyone, my name is Brittney Ragan. Today I'm going to reflect on my leadership journey throughout the organizational leadership program and how it has shaped who I am becoming as a future teacher and school leader. As I was preparing for this presentation, I realized this reflection is actually more personal than I expected. It's not just about what I've learned in each class, it's really about how my mindset changed over time and how I started to see myself differently in the classroom. When I first started this program, I didn't fully understand how much leadership shows up in everyday moments. I thought of leadership as something bigger, like being in charge or making major decisions, but now I see that leadership is really built through small, consistent actions that happen throughout the day. Even the smallest interactions, like how you respond to a student, how you handle a situation, or how you communicate with others, those are all moments of leadership. So today I'm going to walk through who I was at the beginning of the program and what I've learned throughout each course, who I am now as a leader, and who I see myself moving forward. And as I reflect, I can honestly say this experience has helped me grow, not just professionally, but personally as well. Who I was at the beginning of this program, I would describe myself as someone who cared deeply about the students and wanted to help them succeed. But I didn't fully understand what leadership really looked like in the classroom. I thought leadership mostly meant being organized, managing behavior, and making sure everything ran smoothly throughout the day. If the classroom was calm, students were following directions, and everything stayed on schedule, I felt like I was doing my job. But looking back now, I realized my understanding of leadership was pretty limited. I was focused more on structure and control instead of connection, influence, and really understanding students on a deeper level. As a paraprofessional, I was really comfortable in a support role. I helped wherever I was needed, I worked with students, and I stayed busy. But I didn't always step into leadership moments. There were definitely times where I had ideas or noticed patterns with students, but as I hesitated to speak up. And I think that came from a lack of confidence and also not fully seeing myself as someone who could lead yet. I also didn't fully recognize how much leadership shows up in small, everyday interactions. For example, how you respond to a student who is frustrated. Do you correct them right away? Do you redirect them? Or do you pause and try to understand what's actually going on? At the time, I didn't always take that extra step. One moment that really stands out to me happened during a small group reading activity. I was working with a student who became really frustrated. He kept putting his head down and saying he couldn't do the work. My immediate reaction was to try to redirect him and get him back on task as quickly as possible. But I didn't stop to think about what he was feeling in that moment. Eventually, he shut down completely and we didn't make much progress. And at the time, I remember feeling frustrated because I thought I was helping, but now I can see that I was focused more on completing the task than actually supporting the student. And that's something that really changed for me through this program. Now I understand that leadership in the classroom isn't just about getting through content. It's about recognizing when a student needs something different. Sometimes that means slowing down. Sometimes it means changing your approach. And sometimes it just means listening. Another moment that stands out to me happened during a transition between activities. Transitions can be really busy and sometimes overwhelming, especially with younger students. I remember trying to keep everything moving quickly and staying on schedule, but I could feel myself getting stressed. And without realizing it, that stress started to show up in my tone and my body language. The students picked up on that, and things actually became more chaotic instead of more organized. Looking back now, I realize that leadership also shows up in those moments. It's not just about what you say, it's about the energy you bring into the room. And that's just something I've become much more aware of. There are also moments where I saw strong leadership in other teachers. I remember thinking, I want to be able to do that. But at the time, I didn't feel like I was there yet. Now I realize that growth takes time and that those moments were actually part of my learning experience. At the beginning of this program, I would say I was a supportive and dependable team member. but not yet a confident or intentional leader. What I learned throughout these courses, as I moved through each course, my understanding of leadership started to grow in a way that felt very real and connected to my daily work in the classroom. With issues in organizational leadership, this course helped me understand that leadership is not a one-size-fits-all. Different situations, different environments, and different people all require different approaches. In classroom, this really stood out to me because every student is different. Some students need structure and clear expectations, and some need encouragement and reassurance, and some need more time and patience. This course helped me realize that being a strong leader means being flexible and responsive. It also helped me start thinking more about how my actions contribute to the overall classroom environment, not just individual interactions. With data-driven decision-making, this course completely changed how I view data in education. Before, I saw data as something that was mainly used for testing or reporting, but now I see it as something that can actually guide instruction and support student growth in a meaningful way. While working with a small group on letter sounds, I noticed some students were consistently struggling. At first, I thought they were just behind. But when I paid closer attention, I noticed patterns. They weren't struggling with everything, they were struggling with specific sounds. So I adjusted how I worked with them. We slowed down, focused on those areas, and used more repetition and hands-on activities. And over time, I saw improvement. That experience really changed how I think about teaching. It showed me that when you take the time to understand what students really need, you can make a real difference. With behavior, ethics, and leadership, this course helped me reflect more deeply on professionalism and ethical responsibility. It made me think about how everything we do as educators is being observed by students, parents, and even our own colleagues. It also helped me think about how to respond in difficult situations in a way that reflects respect, patience, and professionalism. With leadership theory, this course helped me understand how leadership connects to structures, routines, and classroom management. I realized that strong leadership creates consistency, and consistency helps students feel safe and successful. It also helped me see that classroom management is not just about behavior. It's about creating an environment where students can learn and feel supported. Leading change, this course helped me realize that leadership is not just about maintaining what exists, but improving it. In education, things are always changing, whether it's curriculum, expectations, student needs, and leaders need to be adaptable. It also helped me see that even small changes can have a big impact over time. The capstone course brought everything together. It gave me the opportunity to reflect on everything I've learned and apply it into real situations. It also helped me build confidence in my ability to think critically and contribute as a leader. Now I see myself differently. I am more confident, more reflective, and more intentional. I would describe myself as a student-centered, relationship-focused leader. One of the biggest changes for me is that I pause more before reacting. And that small shift has made a big difference in how I support students and interact with others. Where I go from here moving forward, I want to continue growing and applying what I've learned. My first goal is to strengthen classroom leadership. I want to continue improving how I manage a classroom by creating clear routines, expectations, and a supportive environment. I want my classroom to be a place where students feel safe, understood, and confident in their learning. And I want to continue focusing on relationships, not just behavior. My second goal is to use data to guide instruction. I want to become more confident in using data to guide instruction. This means looking at student progress, identifying patterns, and adjusting instruction to meet their needs. I also want to use data in a way that supports students and helps them grow, rather than overwhelming them. My third and final goal is to continue my growth in counseling and leadership. Since my long-term goal is to become a school counselor, I want to continue learning about student needs, mental health, and leadership. I want to develop the skills needed to support students both academically and emotionally. And I want to continue growing into a leader who can make a positive impact beyond the classroom. Overall, this program has helped me grow in ways I didn't expect. I've gone from seeing leadership as managing a classroom to understanding it as influencing, supporting, and creating positive change. I feel more confident and more prepared and more intentional moving forward. And I'm excited to continue growing as a leader in education. Thank you.